Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK and welcome back to Fate Stay Night Remastered. We are in the middle of combat. This is actually the first fight, I'm pretty sure, here in this visual novel, so getting right into it here in the prologue, which is cool to see. In the last episode, we saw that an enemy is afoot, even in our school. And here's their servant. So now it's our servant versus their servant, a servant off, I guess? That doesn't sound right, but either way, this is our first fight. Let's see how it's all going to go down here. He uses a big old stick. His name is Lancer, and we've got Archer. How will that work out? Well, yeah, let's jump back in and see here. There's no hesitation in Lancer, even as he taunts Archer. He pauses from the constant pressure that he puts on Archer. Does he intend to settle the duel in an instant? Lancer takes a firmly rooted stance, trading a fiery glare with the now unarmed Archer. It happens in an instant. In the span of a breath, Lancer loses a flurry of blows looses a flurry of blows that's no less than a flash of light, imperceptible. Forehead, neck, and heart. The spear moves to skewer all three. And yet, another flash of light counters the first that I couldn't even follow. Archer's hand grasps a short sword once more. Like the weapon he used earlier, it's a Chinese sword not dissimilar to a cleaver. But the greatest difference between them is... Ooh, alright, here we go. Blade and blade. In each hand, he grips a sword, each clearly meant to complement the other. Very unlike the name, I would argue, but you know what? If it works, it works. Lancer's spear sings through the air. Ooh. It becomes even faster, as if to herald Archer's certain death. The duel becomes a symphony of flashing blades. Two steel instruments play a resounding chorus, the sparks of their conflict rising to a never-ending crescendo. Their battle is like a vacuum. It sucks in all the air around it, making me feel like I'll be cut off, or I will be cut, if I even dare to approach. It all happened in an instant, really. But as I watched with bated breath, the moment seemed to stretch on. Lancer keeps his foe out of his fatal pocket, while Archer attempts to close the gap with his shield of dual swords. They've flashed over 100 times already, Archer losing a weapon each time. But instantly another sword appears in Archer's empty hand, and Lancer is slightly driven back each time. Lancer finally acknowledges his miscalculation. He has no idea who he's fighting. But it would be a mistake to keep dismissing his opponent as a bowman. Yeah, and caught me off, I'm completely off guard here. Caught off guard, completely surprised, as to how this fight has gone on. But I'm genuinely pleased with how it's been going on. It is good. A space opens up between them. Lancer puts significant distance between them, maybe he intends to start over. That agility isn't normal. Archer's charge defies human ability, but he's sluggish next to Lancer. The swiftness of Lancer's retreat had the speed and grace of a leopard.
27. それだけ弾き飛ばしてもまだあるとはな.
He's doing the thing that Byakuya Kuchiki in Bleach does with his Bankai. It just keeps on getting more. There's just an endless supply of blades. Lancer sounds irritated. Actually, he sounds more confused than upset. I feel the same way. According to my father, servants typically only have one weapon. They're supposed to be singular relics of unimaginable power, not expendable items to be drawn over and over like Archer's doing. Servants are heroes whose spiritual rank are elevated to the magnitude of elements or divine spirits after death. In a way, they're not unlike angels and demons. They're powerful familiars on their own, but their greatest strength is the mighty weapons that prove that they're heroes, We call these magic items noble phantasms. They are the favored weapon or armor that a servant used while it was a living hero. And it's literally the servant's secret weapon. To a servant, a noble phantasm is a one-of-a-kind armament. It's the servant's indispensable ultimate weapon as well. The same goes for Lancer's spear. It can exhibit a power or its power as a noble phantasm if he so chooses. A noble phantasm is a formidable weapon on its own, but its true power is expressed by invoking its true name. Heroes' weapons are known to have slain dragons and gods, to have conquered the earth. Servants activate noble phantasms with their own magical energy. It's not unlike magecraft, actually. Servants use their noble phantasms as catalysts to recreate the destruction from their legends. A noble phantasm is most certainly not a disposable tool. Archer has produced dozens of swords by now. Each seems like a masterwork unto itself, but they surely can't be his noble phantasm. I think it's something else. He's not really displaying his true weapon here. He's just using something to counteract Lancer's true weapon, which definitely, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing here, displays a difference in strength. He's an archer after all. His secret weapon must be some kind of bow. Well, hold on now. I don't know.
タヌキが減らず口を叩きやがるか。
The cause of Lancer's irritation is obvious. Lancer has been fighting as a spearman, while Archer has been fending him off as a swordsman. Meaning that Archer hasn't revealed his cards yet. That must be frustrating to deal with, yeah, especially since Lancer here already has. It kind of, came firing, full blast at the very start.
二等使いの旧兵なぞ聞いたことがない。
そういう君は分かりやすいな。僧兵には最速の英雄が選ばれるというが、君はその中でもえりすぐりだ。これほどの宗師は世界に3人といまい。加えて、獣のごとき敏捷さといえば、おそらく1人。
ほう、よく言ったアーチャー。
For a moment, the bloodlust is so strong I forget to breathe. Lancer's arms move. It's a deliberate stance without any of the nonchalance that he's shown thus far. His spear tip dips as if to puncture the ground, but Lancer's eyes bore straight through Archer.
ならば食らうか。我が必殺の一撃を。
止めはしない。いずれ越えねばならぬ敵だ。
Yeah, might as well get it out of the way now. Lancer lowers his stance. Simultaneously, a thorny, bitter cold overtakes the schoolyard. The air freezes. I don't mean that metaphorically, it's literally ice cold. All of the mana in the atmosphere freezes solid. Only the warrior Lancer is allowed to breathe in this space. The spear in Lancer's hands is undoubtedly magical. Its true form eager to burst forth. Oh no. He's going to die. I don't know what kind of noble phantasm that is, but Archer is finished. It's the first time I've had this kind of premonition. And hard as it is to believe, I don't doubt it for a second. If Lancer unleashes his spear, Archer will die. That's absolutely certain. As Lancer says, his spear means death. Archer will lose. Lancer will stab him through the heart and he'll die. Despite that, despite these premonitions, despite this insight, I can't even help Archer. I feel like if I so much as lift a finger, it'll signal the beginning to the end. If there's a way to prevent Archer's death, or defeat, well I guess both, then it can only be... What the? The sudden appearance of a third party whom we've all overlooked? Ayo? Is it who I think it is, maybe? It's either his master or it is somebody completely different. I think it's the latter because of the response that we got here. Lancer's ferocity disappears. I hear the sound of someone running away. From behind, I can clearly make out a school uniform.
そのようだな。 おかげで命拾いしたが。
Archer answers coolly. Sure enough, the interruption did save our skin.
失敗した。ランさんに気を取られて周りの気配に気づかなかった。ってアーチャー、あんた何してんの？
見てわからないか。手が空いたから休んでいる。
Huh?
んなわけないでしょ。ランさんはどうしたのよ。
Did he leave?
さっきの人影を追ったよ。目撃者だからな。
Wow. For a moment, my thoughts grind to a halt. Yeah, that happened fast.
追
That
って
was
アーチャ
quick.
ー。私もすぐに追いつくから。
Okay. Archer pursues Lancer immediately.
くそ、なんて間抜け。
I curse my own negligence. It's standard mage policy to eliminate witnesses. Until now, I've been careful not to allow anyone to see me as a mage to avoid that scenario. But why did it have to happen today of all days? I wonder who it was. I have a feeling of who it could be. The night feels oppressive, not letting even the moonlight through. I find Archer standing over the body of a student collapsed on the floor of a terribly cold hallway. Or maybe it was just a random ass student. He looks wordlessly down at the student. An odor reaches my nose. The sight of slowly pooling blood makes me realize that it's the smell of death.
追ってアーチャー。ランサーはマスターのところに戻るはず。せめて相手の顔ぐらい把握しないと割が合わない。
Archer goes off after Lancer. Only the fallen student and I remain in the corridor. Was it somebody that we knew? I can't look him in the eye, but I have to. This is my fault. This is my fault. This is my fault. Since I was young, since I made up my mind to inherit the Tosaka legacy, I have been prepared for this. Mages aren't governed by good or evil. I've known all along that this path would be a bloody one.
ランサーの槍で一突きか。心臓やられてちゃ助からない。
I think if he got him anywhere, he's gone. He's dead. There is no saving him. I don't know how many seconds ago Lancer killed him. It's just a matter of whether he was unlucky enough to get stabbed through the heart. The blood loss isn't as bad as I would expect for a destroyed heart, so maybe the injury isn't too deep. It might not be too bad, but he's still screwed if blood has been cut off to his brain. Though, yeah, if his heart was wrecked, then he would have died instantly.
その割にはまだ死んでないってのはすごいな。
It's hard to hear, but just barely. My ears pick up faint breathing that might be a death rattle. But it won't last more than a few seconds. I don't have the power to save him. I don't even have a way to heal my own wounds.
顔を見ないと。それぐらいはしなくちゃ。
I start to reach for the face of the prone figure when I realize that my fingers won't move. They're shaking. But why? I'm used to this. I've made this choice countless times. I've lost so much thanks to my own mistakes, my own selfishness. That's why I've always been ready for this day to come. Then, why am I so angry at myself?
ごめんね。見とるぐらいはしてあげる。
I use cold logic to still my trembling fingers and legs and check the fallen student's face. It's somebody she knows, isn't it? A great weight falls onto me. I feel like I've just been struck by a hammer.
やめてよね。なんだってあんたが。
Who is it? I grind my teeth, no longer to brace myself against the shaking, but because I'm truly angry. Why did it have to be him? Why him especially? I'm not upset with Lancer for silencing a witness as a servant should, but at school today of all days, at this hour, you fool! Why would you of all people? Sakura's face comes to mind. I'm sure she'll cry. And I find myself recalling a day after school some years ago. The sky glowed a distant red. A boy that always ran. And a silly little girl watched him absently from afar. And that boy got involved in something that he shouldn't have, and now his corpse is in front of me. Who is it? Like, is this somebody that I should know? Because we kind of got a rapid fire introduction to many people in the first episode, and then we went to, you know, magical land over here, and I kind of forgot about all of them. There's still a way. If I fail, I might lose my trump card, and there's a way to save, but there is a way to save him. No, I'll lose it whether this works or not, so the outcome is the same to me. This is a mistake. His impending death is a foregone conclusion. It's my fault for not paying enough attention to what was happening around me. And his fault for having the dumb luck to be here tonight. There's no need for me to go this far for him. My father, who left me with nothing to remember him by, did in fact leave me this heirloom to help me. It's a massive store of magical energy meant to be a trump card that helps me win this war. A precious, precious treasure just for...
だからなんだってのよ、バカ。
I turn back and kneel by the dying boy. Who is it? Show me his face.
やっちゃった。
The pendant in my hand gets lighter. My father's keepsake is nearly empty. With a clink, I drop it on the guy who is a second away from becoming a corpse.
まあ、仕方ないか。
There really was no other way. I don't have the power or skill to bring someone back to life, especially not someone with a destroyed heart, damaged blood vessels, and brain death mere seconds away. All I can do is patch up his missing parts with brute force.
まだ息があるのが運の尽きだった。完全に死んでいたら、どんなに魔力の蓄えがあっても蘇生なんてできなかったし。
But if he's still alive, then I just need to help him the best I can.
失敗してたら目も当てられなかったけど、成功したからいっか。ええ、正直に言えば充実感あるしね。
Though really, I'm lying to myself.
行こう。済んだことは済んだこと。こいつが目を覚ます前に帰らないと。
Yeah, there isn't any point hanging around. Archer's off tailing Lancers, so I should just go home. I guess we're just leaving it up to him. That was kind of anticlimactic in a weird way, you know? Like, who was the guy? Is he important at all, or was the message really just that she was willing to do that for somebody? On the way home, I remembered. I left my father's memento at school, though now it's just a pendant with all of its magical energy wrung dry.
もういいか。
I don't suppose I need it anymore. It might have a little bit of energy left in it, but it's less than the 10 gemstones I'm carrying. What father wanted was for me to have enough magical energy to win the Holy Grail War. Now that I've used that resource up, its container doesn't mean much. Yeah, I don't know. What happens now, you know? Like, does the student, you know, come to us with the pendant? Or do we see him with the pendant? Is this who I think it is? Because it still very well could be, though I would have a whole lot of questions as to why. Unless... what if this is wrapping around to the very beginning of the game? I arrive home without announcing my return and plop down on the sofa. Archer still isn't back yet. I heave a tired sigh and listen to the clock tick for a few minutes.
いい加減頭を切り替えなくちゃ。
Man, you've needed to do that for episodes now.
あれだけの戦いを経験しておいて、何ほうけてるんだ私。
I jump to my feet and make some black tea. I have plenty to think about. The servant we encountered most of all. I finally watched a battle between servants, which, until today, I'd only known about through books.
ランサーか。宝具を使われそうになった時は焦ったけど、実際使ってたら正体は分かったのよね。
Learning a servant's identity is key to defeating a servant. With the exception of the idiot who doesn't know his own name, a servant's greatest weakness is their identity. Once you learn a servant's name and identity, then you can mostly deduce that heroic spirit's noble phantasm. It goes without saying that since servants are heroic spirits, they have legends associated with them. Unraveling their history can reveal a lot about their abilities. Masters address servants by their class names to hide their true names, and the more famous a hero, the more likely their weapons and weaknesses are to be known. A heroic spirit who has become a servant will never willingly divulge their identity. That knowledge is reserved only for their master. There's a tacit understanding that a master conceals their own servant's identity while trying to figure out the identities of the other servants, including this one. There have been 5 Holy Grail Wars thus far. Each servant's quality depends on the caliber of the summoned heroic spirit. Naturally, a famous hero, or one with a legendary weapon, is powerful. Accordingly, it's difficult to summon such heroic spirits. For that, a summoner needs a connection to the heroic spirit that they're summoning, such as a weapon that the hero wielded during their lifetime. Even the Mage's Association, with all of its resources, only has a few such items in its possession. That's why most mages, myself included, summon a heroic spirit whom we have an affinity with. A servant's strength is determined by the caliber of the heroic spirit, or so the logic goes. But reality isn't so clear-cut. Even a superior heroic spirit might struggle when the classes in play aren't favorable. I'm getting a scam call. That really grabbed my attention there. I wonder who it is. They probably won't leave a voicemail. You guys get scam calls and they just don't leave voicemails? Yep, this one didn't. How lame. How lame indeed. Class-specific abilities can have a large impact on the outcome of a battle. Each of the 7 classes comes with additional abilities, and the interaction between these can allow one to triumph over a stronger opponent. To continue the example, it's said that great heroes were defeated by lesser-known heroes in each of the previous 4 wars. As far as I know, the best servant class is Saber. Saber fought until the very end in each of the last 4 years. Saber, Lancer, and Archer are said to have powerful magical resistance, or magic resistance. Magecraft isn't effective against these 3 classes. After all, they're warriors from ages of myth and legend, when magic was still prevalent. Spells cast by modern mages would probably fizzle out on contact. That's why the first 3 classes are generally considered the most desirable. The other class to watch out for is Berserker. Heroic spirits summoned in this class lose their sanity. Oh, lovely. As the name suggests, they become crazed warriors and puppets of their masters, but are strengthened beyond the powers that they had in life. It's also worth noting that the stronger a servant is, the greater its burden on its master. In the past, masters who drew berserkers couldn't control their servants and ultimately self-destructed due to running out of magical energy. No exceptions. What a crazy balance that you have to consider. That is scary. In the vast majority of cases, Holy Grail Wars are won by the summoned servant's abilities. Of course, there are plenty of ways for masters to win battles, but it basically comes down to fighting between servants. That's why a master needs to commit the utmost diligence and effort to summoning a servant. Yeah, too bad we were an hour early on that. I do like Archer though. I do appreciate who he is, even so that's not necessarily who Rin wanted. Discontented, I decide to come up with the projections for the battle to come, or the battles to come. Before long, it's 11 p.m. Yes, I fixed the clocks already. Archer comes home.
おかえりなさい。成果はどう？
すまない。失敗した。よほど用心深いマスターだったのだろう。少なくとも、こちら側の町にはランサーのマスターはいなかった。
Figures. Lancer was all alone and his master didn't seem like the type to show themselves.
そう。まあ、簡単にはいかないわよね。
Everything can't go according to plan, so there's no use worrying over it. I'll just give up and treat tonight as a learning experience. It's all you can do, really, at this point.
いつもの伊勢はどうした？まさか、先の一戦でおじけづいたというのはなしだぞ。
I don't think that would be worth it.
今すぐにでもランサーとの再戦に赴いてもいい。
Archer doesn't say it, but I can tell he thinks that's the right course of action. I don't think so. Oh, I must look pretty depressed right now, huh?
そんなわけないでしょ。私が打って出ないのはね、単に無駄手間をしたくないだけなんだから。
ん？無駄手間をしたくない？
だってまだマスターの数が揃ってないでしょ。今夜のはやむなしだったけど、 開戦の合図があるまで戦わないわ。それが聖杯戦争のルールだって父さんは言ってたし。
そうか。君の父親もマスターだったのか。
Archer nods in understanding. Actually, he's making a rather mixed expression.
何よ、何か言いたいことでもあるのあんた。
ああ、一つ聞き忘れていた。リン。君は幼い頃からマスターになるべく育てられ、それに従ってきたのだろう。つまり、初めからマスターになることを予想していたわけだ。
当たり前じゃない。それはいきなりマスターに任命される魔術師もいるそうだけど、私は別よ。遠坂の人間にとって聖杯戦争は何代も前からの悲願なんだから。
Damn. Sucks that her father didn't really accomplish the goal.
そうだろう。なら目的が党にあるはずだ。私はそれを聞き忘れていた。主の望みを知らなければ私も剣を預けられない。リン、それで君の願いは何だ？
願い？そんなの別にないけど。
It does kind of seem like I get where he's coming from here. It does seem like she's just kind of doing this because that's what's in the family line. She's not necessarily doing this because she wants to.
何？
Ha, Archer's making a funny face.
そんなはずはあるまい。聖杯とは願いを叶える万能の杯だ。マスターになるということは聖杯を手に入れるということ。
Archer drops all pretense. Ah, right. Once the Holy Grail is won, the victorious master's wish has nothing to do with the servant. But that's weird. Father mentioned that servants have their own wishes too, but that's their own business. It shouldn't matter to Archer whether or not I have a wish.
よし、明確な望みがないのであれば、漠然とした願いはどうだ。例えば、世界を手にするといった風な。
なんで？世界なんてとっくに私のものじゃない。
Yeah, does it?
あのね、アーチャー。世界ってのはつまり自分を中心とした価値観でしょ？そんなものは生まれた時から私のものよ。そんな世界を支配しろって言うんなら、私はとっくに世界を支配している。
Inherently yours or not, but you'll lose it all if you die. So there's also that. Archer looks at me with a strange expression. Man, he's stubborn. No, I kind of side with him on this one, you know?
望みを叶える力。現実の世界を手にできる力だぞ。それを求めるというのに、何も望まないというのか、君は。
だって世界征服もめんどくさいし、そんな無駄なことを願っても仕方がないでしょ。あなた、割と想像力が貧困ね。
理解に苦しむな。
そこに戦いがあるからよ、はっちゃん。ついでにもらえるものはもらっておく。聖杯がなんだかは知らないけど、いずれ欲しいものができたら使えばいいだけでしょ。人間生きていれば欲しいものなんて限りないんだし。
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I think humans do aspire to acquire things, maybe not physical things, but we're always trying to grow. Whether, you know, we're doing it consciously or not, we're acquiring information, or we are trying to get like more money, you know, assets and such, whatever. But here it's like, I don't know, it's a little backwards.
つまり君は。
ええ。ただ勝つために戦うの、あっちゃん。
I mean, that's something to acquire as well. I mean, you want to win. Archer sighs and shrugs. Maybe he's fed up with me, but he finally relaxes. I mean, I get it. There's a huge disconnect in, you know, what they're really fighting for, probably. Which is bad.
確かに君は私のマスターにふさわしい。
I don't know how to respond to comments like that, so I wish you would stop making them.
サーバントにマスターを選ぶ権利はないけど、一応聞いとく。
言うまでもない。君は間違いなく最強のマスターだ。使える相手として これ以上のものはない。
I wonder what he's getting at here.
そう、ありがとう。あなたに言われるなら世辞ってわけじゃなさそうだし。
I turn away to hide my embarrassment. Archer usually acts like a smartass, so the sincerity is blindsiding me. Admittedly, I'm happy he feels this way. I've come to trust him, and he's come to trust me. I don't think this mutual sentiment is a bad thing.
さて、ならば一息得ようか。7人目のマスターが現れるにせよ、それは今すぐというわけでも。ちょっと待て、リン。君、あの飾りはどうした？
飾りってペンダントのこと？
Oh, I feel like this is the big catalyst here, you know? This is what will start a whole bunch of other
別に
things.
必要ないでしょ？
それはそうだが、君がそう言うならいいが。
ええ、父さんの形見だけど、別に思い出悪いだけってわけじゃない。
よくはない。そこまで強くあることはないだろう、リン。
As he nags me, Archer holds out the pendant that I left at school. Oh. Well, there we go.
拾いに行ってくれたんだ、アーチャー。
もう忘れるな。
So wait, he was just testing her then?
リンにしか似合わない。
Archer avoids eye contact as he passes the pendant to me, looking almost bashful.
そう。じゃあ、ありがとう。
I accept it. To be honest, I'm not sure whether to be embarrassed or play it off right now. The pendant is as I left it. As I thought, it really doesn't have any energy left. It's just an expensive jewel now that it's empty. But to put it in Archer's terms, maybe it still has meaning as a memento to my father, or of my father, even without its power. I suppose I can laugh this off as a net win, since I spent my trump card to save someone's life.
って待った。
I jolt up in my seat. I wasn't thinking straight while I lamented on what I had lost, but as I pull myself together, it strikes me. He saw us, so I ought to alter his memories. Meanwhile, Lancer prioritized eliminating witnesses over fighting us. Lancer's thinking should reflect that of his master, which means if a master who went out of their way to kill a witness finds out that he survived,
そんなやつ、生かしておかない。
oh, that's fun. I stand up from the sofa. It's already been 3 hours. I might not make it in time, but I can't let this happen, not after all the trouble I went through. Well, back to the school. I sprint through the night. Fortunately, I know where he lives. Not because I bothered to find out, but because someone I happen to know goes over to his place often. I've never been there personally.
まったく、余計な苦労を背負おうとしているぞ。
Archer gripes unenthusiastically. I mean, yeah, it's late at night and, like, this should all be over. It's going to be as much of a struggle to rescue the guy now as it was to save him earlier. I'm pretty sure it's who I'm thinking of, but again, I could be completely wrong. I'm still learning everybody. We are still in the very, very early game here. It's midnight. The sky is shrouded in clouds. I arrive at an old samurai estate. The building closest to the outside shows no signs of life. There aren't many neighboring houses, so it's unlikely anyone would come even if they noticed something was amiss. My breath mists white. The wind picks up. It must be pretty strong because the clouds are starting to move. I find myself trembling despite the temperate Fuyuki weather, and a chill runs down my spine. People call Fuyuki a warm place, but you can feel the winter chill from the hilltops. The air is bitingly cold. The chill presses in and makes it hard to wear, or to hear, or wear, whichever. The midst of this air that seems conquered by the cold, I keenly sense the enemy are in the midst of this air.
いる。さっきのサーバント。
Oh shit, it really isn't over. I bite my lip. Something's on the other side of the outer wall. Lancer must have already infiltrated the house, waiting for his witness owner to come home to his death.
飛び越えて倒すしかない。その後のことはその時に考える。
Yes, let's shout that out loud. Just as I'm about to order Archer to go in, that a car? What's going on? Nope, something else happened. A flash? From the house emerges a radiant white light bright as the sun. Its presence is all-consuming. The power radiating from Lancer is being washed away by the newcomer's even greater aura. An instantaneous explosion of ether gives the spirit physical form, and the summoned being overpowers Lancer.
嘘
All I can do is whisper in awe, but the truth is staring me in the face. As if to prove the point, Lancer bounds over the wall, fleeing the compound.
ねえあーちゃんこれももしもの話
さあな。だが、
Oh
これで
shit, yep, here we go.
ついに数が
Here
揃ったぞ。
we go. Archer is calm. Meanwhile, my rational thought goes flying out the window. What happens next should have been obvious, but I'm not thinking straight. It is midnight after all. There's a strong gust of wind. The clouds cover the sky like an umbrella. Darkness shrouds the lightless outskirts of the town. A servant leaps over the wall and lands gracefully like an unworldly bird. Oh boy. Archer reacts. I failed to even twitch in response. That's my fault. The fight ends before even a second passes. 1 second might be a brief instant to me, but it's a massive opening to a servant. A bladed wind closes in on me.
あーちゃん
Archer lunges in front of me, while the servant cuts him deeply. It really was just an instant. Is Archer, who so gracefully fended off Lancer's brutal assault, going down in one hit?
あーちゃん消えて
I made it in time. Before the servant's next strike takes off Archer's head, I force him to retreat. Pain throbs in my right hand. Because it was such an extreme order, it used up one of my command spells. No. You've got to be shitting me. You have to be. Now I only have one left. The war hasn't really even begun, technically. Sure, all 7 are now here, but it hasn't started. You know, the whistle has not been blown, the gun has not been fired, and she's down to the last one that she has to use as a final trump card before she, dies, basically. Now, this was for the best. It's worth losing a command spell or two to make sure Archer doesn't die. Without skipping a beat, the servant comes for me next.
なめるな
Oh, it's magic time. I pull out a wind-imbued topaz and feed magical energy directly into it without any extra steps. It's a cluster of wind spells that I've been feeding into it day after day, and they're enough to blow away a house or two without leaving a trace. This is one of 10 jewels that I've been building up for the last 17 years without skipping a single day. Even if I can't beat this thing with it, it should be enough to slow... It probably isn't, is it? Or not. It didn't work at all. The moment it touches the servant, what ought to have been a tempest that would hew apart everything or anything in its path disappears like a simple stage magic trick. What terrifying magic resistance! Are you telling me that a mage doesn't have enough magical energy to hurt this servant? Oh no. My magecraft doesn't work and I've lost Archer's protection. I have no way to stop this servant. Even if I barely manage to dodge the first attack, I'm finished. I look up at the night sky. In it, I imagine a ruthless reaper coming for me, sprawled pitifully on the ground. I'm sure we'll be helped here. Yep, there she is. There she is. The wind blows. Through a break in the clouds, the moon peeks out through the spiral-like sky. The moonlight highlights her elegant profile. So this is the face of a servant who drove off Lancer, took down my archer in one blow, and shrugged off my magecraft like it was nothing.
今の魔術は見事だった。メイガス。
The girl's voice rings clear like a bell. yet her voice is the stuff of nightmares at this moment.
だが最後だ。アーチャーのマスターよ。
The sword that she's thrust at me seems to shine. I know that this is my dying moment. One glance is enough to figure that out. This is the card I wish to draw. The sword-wielding hero said to be the most powerful servant. I look up at the moon, prepared to die. There's no room to beg for my life. No time to escape. With my death, Rin Tosuka's Holy Grail War will have ended on the third day. You would think that I would go out hating my foe, feeling nothing but shame and regret. But I don't feel that way at all. Something's seriously wrong with me. I'm one moment away from certain death, and here I am entranced by my killer. Yeah, it's frustrating to be sure. But there's nothing I can do now. The strongest servant is going to kill me. She looks all at once heartless, utterly noble, and so very beautiful. No, she looks great. I'm already a fan, and I don't know if I should be. I mean, I will be. Oh boy. Intro time. Ooh, wow. I finally got to the main menu. I got the Steam achievement for completing the prologue. Oh my gosh. Wow. Wait, do I have to hit new game? Like, is that how this works? Do I actually have to hit new game in order to like continue along? Oh man. That intro, by the way, was pretty fire. I know that it was like in an anime style, very different from what I've been seeing of the characters so far, so trying to tie everybody in was a little odd, but no, it wasn't too bad, but that was cool. That was a nice little intro. Okay, so I'm done with the prologue. I still have some time to record a little, so I don't think I want to load because it'll just bring me back to where I was. I guess new game. I guess now this is the official start, if you will. Unless this just brings me back to the prologue, I don't think it is. I am the bone of my sword, steel is my body, and fire is my blood. I have created over 1,000 blades, unknown to death, nor known to life. Have withstood pain to create many weapons, yet those hands will never hold anything. So as I pray, unlimited blade works. I've heard that before. I don't know what that means, but I have heard that before. This looks lovely. When I came to, I was lying in a burning field. It must have been a big fire. The familiar town was an unrecognizable smoking ruin. It looked like a scene from a war movie. The sight didn't last long though. As morning dawned, the fires gradually died down. The towering walls of flame shrunk to embers, and most of the buildings looked to have collapsed. It felt so strange being the only unchanged thing in the town. I was the only one left alive. I was either fortunate, or the house I had been inside was built on the luckiest ground of all time. Either way, I was the only one alive. Since I had survived, I felt I needed to keep on living. I walked aimlessly, thinking it would be dangerous to remain where I was. It wasn't that I wanted to avoid becoming what had happened to everyone around me, those scorched, blackened masses. It wasn't a feeling of disgust. Some other emotion was driving me on. At the same time, I had no hope. It was a miracle that I was alive at all, and I didn't think I was going to last much longer. There was just no way in hell I was going to survive. There was simply no way I would ever escape the crimson hellscape no matter what I did. That was how desperate, how hellish this place was, even through the eyes of a young boy. I don't know who we're following here, and then I collapsed. Either there was nowhere around me or I simply couldn't breathe anymore. I just collapsed, and all I could do was to look up at the slowly clouding sky. The scorched black masses around me lay motionless. The dark clouds covered the sky, promising rain. Good, the rain will put out the fires. I took one final deep breath and looked up at the rain clouds. I couldn't breathe, but I still felt pain. And I said that out loud, on behalf of all those people who couldn't say those words themselves. Interesting. That was 10 years ago. Miraculously, in the midst of it all, or in the midst of all that, I was saved. My physical body survived, but everything else was scorched, reduced to ash. When a young child loses their parents or their home, there's really nothing left of them. And so everything other than my body perished. Put as simply as possible, in exchange for my body living, my heart died. Oh, that's deep. That's poetry right there. A little morbid, but I'm cool with it. I'm dreaming. I squinted, seeing a bright white light. It was blinding. Light stabbed at my eyes when I woke. I doubt I really knew what the sensation of blinding light was in the first place. As my eyes adjusted, I woke, alarmed. I was lying in a bed I didn't recognize, in a room that I didn't recognize. I was honestly stunned, but the cleanliness of the white room made me feel at ease. I never feel at ease in a fucking hospital room. Keep me out of there. I looked blankly at my surroundings. The room was spacious and beds lined it in neat rows. All the beds were full, and it looked like each bed's occupant was injured. But the room didn't feel depressing at all. Everyone injured survived. I let my eyes wander. I looked out the window. The clear blue sky was so incredibly beautiful. A few days had passed, and I was finally able to take in the situation. I don't know what to say here. I was gonna say something, I just didn't know what to say while we were transitioning there. I had no problem remembering what happened the days before, but I wasn't much different from a newborn during this time. Strange as it is, that was closer to the truth than might seem possible. The fire was just that bad. I was rescued from the fire, I awoke in a hospital, my parents were gone, and my entire body was wrapped in bandages. I didn't really understand what was going on, but I did know that I was alone. It didn't take long for me to accept my circumstances. Maybe I had no choice, really. All the other children were in the same boat. And then later, in the moment I, naive as I was, started to worry about what would become of me, he walked in. Who's he? He appeared the day my bandages came off and I started eating on my own. His hair was disheveled, his suit tattered. He looked a bit younger than my doctor. He looked more like someone's older brother than someone's father. Okay, so that's who we're following. I had a feeling that this was who we were following. So, what an awful upbringing for this guy. His beaming smile seemed to blend into the pouring white sunlight. His voice was somehow irritatingly fake, yet extremely gentle. That really fucking depends. My brother in Christ, that is suspicious as hell. He was offering to take me in. I asked if we were related. He said that we were complete strangers. He looked like an unremarkable, unreliable guy, which is even more suspicious. But then again, he was no more or less familiar with the orphanage. So I decided I would go with him. He started gathering my things hastily. Even as young as I was, I could see he wasn't any good at it. And after he made a mess packing... He turned asking for confirmation. He asked so casually as if asking me if there was somewhere I wanted to go. Oh boy. He said it in a serious, almost ceremonious manner. It happened so fast. Now that I think back, I was also immature. I just accepted his words as fact. I took it neither as a joke or genuine statement. I guess I said something like that, eyes wide in astonishment. Well, there's still no, family connection for him to, also get some magic flowing in his body, so I do wonder how he, came to become a master here. and I was his child. Actually, I don't really remember how that conversation went, but every now and then my old man would bring it up. He would recount that scene over and over, acting all embarrassed. That scene might have been the happiest day of my old man, a man named, Kiritsugu Emiya's life. That wasn't so bad. You can say that it was one thing for him to tell a recently orphaned kid that he was a magician, but I was no better, the way I was so eagerly bought into it. And that was how my old man adopted me, and how I took the last name Emiya. Shirou Emiya. When I said that name out loud, if I said that right, I felt really proud of having the same last name as Kiritsugu. I'm dreaming. It's from my childhood. It's probably about 8 years ago, since it's about the time when I talked my old man into making me his apprentice. Kiritsugu had started going away on a regular basis once I was old enough to stay home by myself. He'd always give some childish, unbelievable explanation like, I'm going to go on an adventure around the world, and then he'd actually do it. From then on, that's how it always was. It wasn't unusual for him to be gone for a month, and at times he didn't come home for half a year. The Emiya Mansion is an expansive Japanese samurai-style house, and Kiritsugu and I were the only ones living there. It felt too big and empty for a child like me, and at times, I felt lost. But I liked my life there. Whenever Kiritsugu came home from his trips, he would brag and tell stories like an excited child. And another child who shared his last name always looked forward to those stories. I may have been alone in the mansion, but Kiritsugu's stories always helped lessen that. He was always pursuing a dream like a boy. I was wary of his whims, yet at the same time, he always looked radiant to me. Maybe that's why I hope to be like him one day. Well, I was about to say, well, as childish as I might have been, I realized I needed to get my act together since I had an old man with his head constantly in the clouds. Oh, how things just come together. We're going back to the 31st. All right. Okay. Day 1. This time for realsies. I'm assuming that we're now following him. I don't know for the course of the story, but that seems to be the deal. So we'll save it. Day 1. Remembering 10 years ago. Okay, guys. That'll wrap this up here. Hopefully I can just sit here and ramble for a few minutes, but that was the prologue for Fate Stay Night Remastered. And when I recorded the first episode, that was supposed to just be a little one-off, maybe record a little bit more. So this is the little bit more. And I actually just put up a poll on my YouTube channel asking, do you guys want to see more? I don't know how much more. Do you guys want to see more? And I've gotten some comments on the first episode I had recorded, and people were kind of telling me what to expect in terms of length. And a lot of you that have come to the channel for this playthrough specifically have been very, very kind, honestly. It is so nice to have a whole bunch of new viewers, a lot of old viewers of mine, come back and are excited to see me play this. I know that this is a very, very big series in the visual novel medium, and also in anime, and Fate is huge. It's a huge thing, but I've never jumped into it. I have no idea what to expect. I think the most I know about it is Saber. There's just always Saber, and then there's the mobile game that's been around for like a decade, it seems like. That's all I know. So, really nothing. I don't know anything. But this is exciting. As the prologue showed, there was a lot of interesting terms, ideas, and structure that I feel like we're just going to learn more of, which I'm down for, really. I'm excited for that, actually. So, if anything, I can genuinely say that I am on board with Fate Stay Night. Me personally. For a full-length playthrough, that's a whole different story, because I'm already neck-deep with playthroughs that I'm struggling to finish. So I don't know. I would personally like to, if you guys are, really wanting me to, and I'm wanting me to, but that is a commitment. Excuse me. That's a huge commitment. A very, very big commitment, because I'm already in Umineko, and that's like my probably my last big Let's Play. That's a big one, and I'm taking reasonable breaks in between its episodes. Since there's 8 of them, I can spread it out pretty well. But this is one chunky boy, and I don't know if I can commit to it. But whatever decision I come to, I'm definitely reading through this. I'm definitely going through this one. This seems like a good time. In a weird way, this kind of reminds me of Bleach. I did a reference earlier in this episode, but it does remind me of Bleach, that you have a normal world, seemingly, but then you have the other side of it. And I don't know, it's all still here in this physical world, but it's a whole different side to it. I don't know. I'm not going to try and continue to like make connections to just one series, but it does remind me of it, along with some other things, and that is exciting. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you guys want to see me go through this, if you guys think I feasibly can within a year or something, just let me know what you guys think. If you guys would definitely be wanting to, watch that, if that's something that would interest you, and I'll give it a little bit of time before I record again. I want to record a little bit more. I want to go past the prologue, just maybe like 1 or 2 episodes more, just to continue to like see how this works in the Let's Play format as well, because not all things do, but this has been fun to record. This has been fun to do in a Let's Play format. So let me know what you guys think, and thank you for watching this episode. Thank you for watching the previous 3 as well up to this point. This is fun, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Whether I record it or not, I'm completely on board. So thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you want to watch more for how much more I got in me, and I will see you guys in the next one, because like I said, I want to record a little bit more. So I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, guys.